Bishop, I'm
Ah,
so sorry.
I had to figure out how I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me.
Who hangs up on the bishop? Instagram.
Yeah. I thought I had died or something.
No, sir.
Okay. 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 Uh, no, that's crazy.
Well,
I, I don't, I don't know what I was talking about, but who
well,
knows?
I definitely know what you were talking about because you were speaking to me and just the pain of leadership. And can I just say, on behalf of my generation, what has happened here tonight has been nothing short of prophetic, profound, historic for me. I want to respond by saying we're promising to stay at this, to build for the long haul, to continue in your footsteps as you continue to lead the way. I'm so grateful. But I am probably going to go upstairs in a few minutes here when we're done and lay on my floor and cry. Just for those who are wondering what you do after you interview Bishop Jakes, you go to your room and you cry. That's what I'm going to do. I mean it, Bishop. I'm not even joking. Ugly cry.
Ugly cry.
Can I
It,
ask you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
sure.
Go ahead.
It was wonderful. I didn't know what it would be. I didn't even. This is the first time I've done this.
This is your first Instagram Live.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the best. This is, oh my goodness. I had no
Yeah,
idea.
I didn't even know how to get back on. I was looking at it and I was trying to read and I was getting ready to text you and say, "Can you hear me?" Uh,
Yeah.
so this is the first time I did it, but it's cool. I'm trying to keep up. Y'all are not leaving me. I want you to know
No,
that.
sir.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
it
mean,
should be noted that Mr. Bieber, JB is on here, and he wanted to ask the bishop. Mr. Bieber wants to know, does Bishop Jakes think he has the heart of David? That's what he asked.
I don't know. I like David. David's one of my favorite characters in the Bible. Uh, I might. I might. David, there was. You know what I am like? That's like David. David was complicated, and
Ooh.
I am. I'm definitely complicated.
You are?
Dave. Oh gosh, extremely. My wife tells me this every day, so I believe her. Uh, I never heard it till she told me, but after she told me, I think she's right. The reason I say David was complicated, this guy is passionate enough to not only make songs, he wrote songs, he wrote poetry, he made instruments, he created instruments and played music so well that it impacted spirits.
Whoa.
Okay. He was so innovative that he changed the system while Moses' tabernacle existed. David broke all of Moses' laws and found out that if he came in with worship, he wouldn't have to bring blood and the Ark of the Covenant would go with him.
Oh, my.
Okay. So on one hand, you have this sensitive, compassionate, artsy, creative, uh, intellectual who is prolific and profound and precise in his ability to linguistically describe the undescribable infinite God himself. And on the other hand, David had a temper that was so fierce that he would go out to war and kill hundreds of Philistines and cut off their foreskins and bring them and lay them at the feet of the king. He was not to be fooled with. Okay, so when you start talking about the complexities of David, I think I'm complex like that. Where I'm afraid to say that I have the spirit of David is that David danced before the Lord in such a way that 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 he won the heart of God and became the king because of praise. With no training and no background and no pedigree and wasn't in line for the throne. He wooed God. He dated him. He was after, when God said, "I found a man after my heart," David wooed God with worship and praise. And that was, we know it was predestined. We know that he is the great great grandchild of Ruth, but he was Jesse's son, taking care of sheep a long ways from the. You know how much stuff God had to move to make him king? It took years for David to become king. All kind of people had to die and move and switch, and Jonathan died, and Saul died, and all these people, Abner died, and Michal had to leave a man she was married to, and come. There's all kinds of stuff went on for David to get everything set up to be king over Israel. But God did it. And when God is for you, he will make it happen. I can say this to Justin. It was my heart that brought me here. It was not my head, and it was not my mouth. It was my heart that brought me here. I'm sure of that. I'm sure it was my heart that brought me here.
Wow.
If you get the letters and you get the suits and you get the mannerisms and you get everything else and you don't get the heart, then it's like a car without an engine. And what has to happen? Everybody wants to preach better, but if they would just love better, they would preach better.
Woo.
Yeah.
I was going to say that'll preach, but that's counterproductive.
Yeah, if they would see themselves in every soul that stumbled to the altar, if they would preach like they were trying to pull their son up out of a pit, even though their son wasn't in the room, if they would bloody their hands snatching him out of the fire, they would do better.
And Bishop, I feel like watching you as a young man in my formative years, hopefully I'm still in formative years, but you came across, I read you like you were preaching like you were dying. You were preaching like you were bleeding. You were preaching like you were hemorrhaging. I preached my first week of meetings in Alaska when I was 16, and I dragged myself across the stage talking about Mephibosheth.
Oh, yeah.
Just like you.
He was my character.
Just like you.
Did you? Oh, you got to send me the video. Please send me the video.
No, Bishop, we destroyed that video. It's gone.
No, come on now. I preached about Mephibosheth because I was Mephibosheth.
Woo.
And then I got older and he was harder to preach because my little boy had gotten well.
What? Oh my goodness.
And he's harder to find now.
Wow.
When I was younger, I could touch him easier because I wasn't that far from him. Wow. But now at 62, he's the scar is there, but the skin is healed.
Wow.
And so that's what I mean about bringing your whole life to the text. You can't preach about the man on the Jericho road like he's a stranger.
Oof.
You have to feel the Palestinian heat and the wind whipping across your face mixed with sand. And you have to feel the terror of the dark walking down the Jericho road. And you have to feel the assault of being attacked in the dark by yourself and stripped in front of strangers and feel helpless and open and embarrassed and exposed and stabbed. And you have to lay there on the cold ground in the night in the desert where the temperature drops, only to hear the sound of your own blood oozing out of your side. And they're delirious and about to faint. You have to hear the footsteps of those who came to watch but wouldn't heal. Oh. And you have to take every person who ever watched you bleed and everything you ever felt about it. You have to bring that to that text. And you have to be out there, and you can't preach that text like you know how it's going to end. You have to preach that text fully aware of the fact that I may die out here tonight. Wow. And when that man comes with the beast and gets down so that you could get up, and he pours in the oil and the wine, you have to love him. And you have to hold on to that beast for dear life, pain and all. Because the further you got away from that spot, the more you knew you were going to make it. Can you feel that?
Yes, sir. How did you learn
Yeah.
to do that? How did you learn to do that?
Get the book.
I will. As soon as you let me, I will.
Yeah, get the book.
You promise?
The hardest, this has been the most frightening thing I've ever tried to write. It is horrifying for me to try to explain something that's unexplainable. It's like asking your grandmother for her recipe and she doesn't have one. And now she has to take the salt that's in her hand and measure it down into a teaspoon and say, it's a teaspoon and a half. That's what it's like for me, because preaching to me is so intimate.
Oof.
Oh God, it's so intimate. It's between me and him. It's the way we dance. It's how we do it. It's how we do it. Ooh, God. I wouldn't be a gentleman if I told. I felt awkward. It's what we do. It's what we do.
Is it even a fair question to ask? Do you have a favorite sermon? And if you don't, what if you had to choose one last sermon you've already preached, but it's your last sermon and you got to preach it? Which one would it be?
The spell is broken.
Yes, sir. I know it well.
The spell is broken.
Wow, that was quick. Why is your answer so quick? I'm surprised to hear you say that so quickly.
Oh, I've contemplated it before. It would be between the crippled child that you're talking about with Mephibosheth and the spell is broken. But I'll tell you, I've had some new ones that really, those are old ones. One of the new ones I really liked a lot was I Didn't Know I Was Me.
Oh, I saw the title, Bishop. I haven't heard it yet, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I didn't know I was me. It deals with Gideon being down at the threshing floor in the wine press. He was threshing wheat in the wine press. Threshing wheat in the wine press, okay? And the angel came by and called him a mighty man of valor.
Whoa.
And he didn't know he was that. And when I saw that and I read that, what illuminated in my mind is, what is he doing threshing wheat in the wine press when he's a mighty man of valor? And then I realized he didn't know he was till the angel told him. And then I thought about myself and I thought, I didn't know I was me. I would have done things differently. I would have lived differently. I would have prepared differently. I would have avoided things I fell into if I would have known I was me. I didn't know I was me. Okay, so let's go deeper. So this leads me to when Kobe Bryant died, I thought, I wish he could see what his death did to the world. I wish he could see that he died and it stopped the press. They stopped bickering in Washington. They stopped arguing on the news. For 3 or 4 days, almost a week, everybody everywhere was talking about a basketball player.
Yes, sir.
He was a basketball player. And he shut down the planet. Everybody was talking about him. And I thought, I wonder, did he know he was him?
Wow.
If Dr. King came back today, I bet you he would be shocked. He wouldn't know that highways were named after him and schools were built in his honor and all these libraries and museums were. The point is, greatness evades the great.
Wow.
And everybody knows it but you. And most of the time, it's more post-mortem than it is in real-time speed.
And what Bishop, what's your conclusion with that perspective in terms of what does that leave you at the conclusion of that investigation and study?
Well, it led me to follow God in spite of my opinion.
Ooh.
Yeah. To have the courage to leave the wheat in the wine press and climb out of it and put on a uniform and go down there with a sword in my hand and fight like hell with no training and no background and no past experience, do it anyway.
Wow.
Because that's exactly what Gideon did. He rose to power with no experience and no training and no mentor and no nothing. He just believed what was said.
Wow. So the summary, almost like what Paul said to Timothy, you therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Christ Jesus. Like, be who you are.
Be who you are, not how you feel.
Woo!
It doesn't matter how you feel.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter how you feel. Your feelings are never going to line up with your calling.
Wow.
And if you're waiting for your feelings to validate your calling, you're never going to be there.
Never.
You have to have the courage, and I mean it takes courage, to walk up there with your sword in your hand and say, okay, let's get it on.
Yeah.
Let's get it on. And just see what happens. You have to go in there and become who he says. I don't mean that you don't train and you don't prepare and you don't study. I do all of that.
Yes.
I read everything I can read about everything. Politics, business, arts, entertainment, the Bible, history, everything I can get my hands on. I try real hard not to be stupid, though I still am. I try real hard not to be. That study is my praise. It's how I respect my call. It means I respect my call, my craft, and my audience. And let me touch on that since other people are listening.
Please.
If you don't prepare for your message with all that you got, you don't respect your call, you don't respect your craft, and you don't respect your audience.
Wow.
You assume that your audience is stupid. And that's a bad mistake, because you never know in any crowd who's sitting out there who's smarter than you.
Woo.
So you always bring your A game. I don't care if it's not but 7 of them there. Bring your A game, because one of them might be a maestro. See, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
a maestro, a maestro. Oh my God! And so you respect the crowd, you respect the craft, and you respect the call. Okay. Never assume that the crowd is foolish. And if you do that, that's all you'll get called to preach to. It's the foolish. Because that's the only thing you put out was foolish food.
Wow. Jeez.
Preach to the people you wish you had. Till they become what you see in your head. Let me stop. You got another question for me? You know, old people, they get to rambling and talking and going on.
Yeah, this is not that, Bishop. This is gold, and you're helping the next generation. I mean, my only request is that we could do this every Saturday night. You and me, you could just help me.
I just want to see you crawling across the floor being emotional. What we should do is preach it together.
Oh, Bishop, I would be there any way, shape, or form. And I will do anything you say. So
wouldn't that be fun?
Oh man, I would love that.
We would both have haters, you know, if we did that.
I know
if we did that, you know, every young guy would hate you and all the old guys would hate me. I don't know who I would be. Maybe I would be David, and you'd have to be Mephibosheth since you're younger than me.
Yeah, trust me, I relate much more to Mephibosheth, so it's perfect.
Yeah, okay. So you be Mephibosheth, and I'll turn around I'll get everything ready at the table and set the table up and get all the chandeliers all cleaned up and set the candelabra in the center of the dining room table. And then I'll open up the door and Zyba will walk in and drop you on the floor and I'll say, "The finish, chef?" And you say,
King, is that you?
"Yeah."
Is that you, sir? Is
Yeah.
that you?
"Oh, Mephibosheth, how I long to see you. I see your father, Jonathan, in your eyes. What happened to you?"
Sir, how did you even know that I was close by? How did you know who I was, sir?
"I heard that there was someone left at the house of David down in Lodabar. Were you in Lodabar, son?
Sir,
Tell
I've
the
been
truth.
there for more years than I can count.
How did you get to Lodabar?"
They put me there, sir. It wasn't my own choosing. They put me there.
How does a king's kid end up in the place of no communication? How does somebody who's meant to be royal end up in the rags? Oh, I have a place for you. Would you like to have dinner?
Yes, sir. They told me I was better alone, but I would love to have dinner with you, King.
Then get yourself up off the floor, boy. Laying on the floor like a dog. You may be crippled, but you're still a man. Rise up. Come here, let me help you. Let me show you that there is a seat prepared for crippled men. And show you the mystery that if you sit at the table just right, they'll never see your feet.
That was just the that was the precursor. Bishop, I get so nervous when you start doing that. I'm like, oh, Judah, don't you mess this up. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone. I will never forget that.
You know what? The terrible thing about this is that you get to see all the comments that the people are making. I don't get to see anything they said. So they're probably making fun of both of us. You know,
no, they're not making fun of you, Bishop. That's not allowed. Not here on Hold the Phone. Can I ask you one more arbitrary, after all of the beauty and the gold and the precious statements and words and phrases that you shared? If I said to Bishop Jakes, you have one more outfit, one more suit. This is the one everyone's going to remember you in. This is the outfit that you will be photographed in. This is how we're going to remember you. What outfit and or suit would that be?
First, I'd have to lose 20 pounds. See, I've been in the house, man. I've been in Corona is the devil.
The devil.
Okay? The devil himself has got me in the house, and I got nothing to do and nowhere to go. I got on the treadmill. I walked around the property, but I don't walk as good as I eat, and so it's a problem. So first, I'd have to lose 20 pounds. The funny thing about it is now, believe it or not, I actually like casual clothes the best. I think I've been around too many of you all, and they rubbed off on me. But I found out, when I found out how much better those tennis shoes feel than those dress shoes, I converted.
Get some cushion.
Yeah, get some cushion, boy. That helps you with Arthur, and you need them. The tennis shoes. We need to switch roles and let you all wear the suits and let us wear the tennis shoes.
Ooh, man.
Yeah, them shoes are mean after a while, dog.
When we preach our sermon together, you'll be in the casual and I'll be in the suit.
Let's do that. That'll really blow their mind. 3-piece laid down pocket square, the whole thing, and I'm gonna come out, you know, with some. In fact, let me show you my shoes now. Let me show you my shoes.
Oh, this is exciting.
Okay.
Bishop Jakes is gonna show us his shoes. Here we go.
Can you see him?
Not yet. We
Can
see
you
the
see him?
carpet. Not yet. No. Oh, yes, we can. You got the Air Forces on.
Yeah, boy.
Air Force One. What?
Don't think I ain't cool.
Oh, my word. Now
Enjoy
your
your
daughter's
life.
on here. Sarah, I love you so much.
Oh, is Sarah on here? Hi, baby. Say hi to daddy.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's incredible. Bishop, I don't have words. I don't have gifts. I don't have resources to adequately thank you for what tonight was for me. This is a Saturday night. I'll be preaching tomorrow, and I would think about this moment. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I really mean it for the rest of my life, that you would spend this much time, not only with me, but with the next generation. And I pray with all of my heart that ministers, leaders, writers, thinkers, painters, creators, innovators are all listening right now to the wisdom that's pouring out of your soul and your heart. Thank you for the life you've lived. Thank you for the pain you've been through. Thank you for sharing it with all of us. And thank you for the brokenness and the beauty in which you carry it. We love you.
Wow. Thank you. I love you too. Take care. I had a good time.
Thanks, Bishop. Okay, we'll talk
Bye-bye.
again soon.